It's a trait that's key to our survival, yet leads to less than desirable consequences, the ability to imagine the future. Humans are the most advanced predictors of the future. It's true that some animals have shown evidence that they might make decisions on the future based on past experience, which requires a basic level of episodic memory. But they don't come close to the capacity of humans to engage in decades of time travel, backwards and forwards, remembering, imagining, planning, and executing complex activities and ideas. This has kept us alive, evolving and thriving for thousands of years. We wouldn't be where we are today if we didn't have our imagination. And yet, I've been thinking a lot lately about those less than desirable consequences. We become preoccupied, occupied in advance with what may or may not happen in the future. We worry and we wring our hands and we get preemptively stressed. We get ahead of ourselves. And that's just what happens inside our heads. In the outside world, we let the retail calendar dictate our routine and our timing rather than the actual calendar. Someone mentioned in Talkback last week that they'd already seen Valentine's Day merchandise in the stores, when some of us haven't even put up our Christmas trees yet. The stores are pushing Halloween in August, Christmas in October, and Easter in February. It seems we can never be when we are. And when are we? Obviously, it's Christmas in December, but we're also in the time leading up to the winter solstice, which in the Northern Hemisphere happens on December 21st at 4:48 p.m. Eastern Time. It's the shortest day and the longest night of the year. It is often seen as the rebirth of the sun, since it marks a transition back to longer days and shorter nights. According to the Farmer's Almanac, the word solstice comes from the Latin sol, sun, and sistere, to stand still. So, loosely translated, it means sun, stand still. Why? For a few days before and after the solstice, the sun's path across the sky appears to freeze. The change in its noontime elevation is so slight that the sun's path seems to stay the same or stand still. If we were to take our cue from nature, the sun, the moon, the stars, we'd allow ourselves to stand still and be when we are. Instead, in the days leading up to this most wonderful time of the year, we're running. We're filling our lives with light and sound and food and stuff. So much stuff. We do the opposite of what the wisdom of the seasons is inviting us to do. Nature goes dormant so that it can store up energy for a bountiful showing in the spring. We go into hyperdrive, and instead of being mellow, we're manic. We're told to be merry, jolly, and joyful, which can feel like a welcome reminder to lighten up and enjoy life. Or to some, it can feel like a dishonoring directive that can bring on depression or loneliness. What would be different if we followed the sun and let ourselves be still for a while this coming week? What if we made an effort to notice and celebrate the birth, death, and rebirth that takes so many forms this time of year? If you have to go out into the hustle and bustle, choose to move calmly, compassionately, and quietly. At home, light a fire or a candle and sit with it, preferably in the dark. Take a walk alone in the snow, considering the sleeping earth beneath your feet, and noticing how the snow softens the edges of speed and sound. Reflect on what's been born in you this year, what's died, what's already ready for rebirth. Open yourself to being fully present to when you are now, resisting the pull of some future that will, in many ways, take care of itself. Release being preoccupied and just be. Take this opportunity to get to know the dark, as Wendell Berry describes in this very lovely short verse. To go in the dark with a light is to know the light. To know the dark, go dark. Go without sight and find that the dark too blooms and sings and is traveled by dark feet and dark wings.